Here.
Commissioner Haro, not here. Commissioner Jennings.
Here.
Vice Chair Eisen.
Here.
And Chair Stamper.
Here.
We have a quorum.
So, would you like me to walk us through then our agenda for tonight, or are you going to walk us through and to each piece?
If you would like, I can walk us through and hand it over kind of to Lisa. She's going to be our facilitator this evening.
Okay.
If that makes more sense to everyone, I'm happy to do that in collaboration with Lisa.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we have public comments for non-agenda items. We only have one public attendee right now, and they can raise their hand if they would like to speak. Doesn't look like there's any public comment at this time, so I'm going to hand it over, I believe, to Eddie actually for a city council update.
Before Eddie does that, I actually wanted to give a quick introduction of myself. And you're probably all wondering why I'm here and why John's not. I just wanted to give you the information that, so recently Matthew has appointed me interim assistant city manager, and John has actually transitioned over, and he will be working in special projects involving CDD and housing and some of the other items going on at City Hall. And so in this role that I've taken on temporarily, I will be working with Eddie with the recreation department. And so that is why I'm here tonight instead of John. And I apologize just being sprung on you like this. But before Eddie talked about city council, I wanted to kind of give you the backgrounds.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay, city council updates. And Matthew provided these for us. Commissioner Jennings, this is just basically a recap of meetings the city council has held since our last Parks and Rec Commission meeting, pertinent items in the agenda for the council we bring to your attention. A few items from the January 17th meeting. Congresswoman Anna Eshoo introduced herself and her priorities to the council and the community. And the council also received a pretty extensive update on current housing efforts in the works by the city staff. From our February 7th meeting, the city discussed working with San Mateo Credit Union Community Fund and the Mavericks Community Foundation on a centralized codeside victims fund, as well as receiving a pretty robust discussion on the recent shooting event that took place here in Half Moon Bay. Matthew also wanted me to just mention to you all that overall the city staff have been working nonstop, responding to the floods, the recovery from the floods, and then the shootings and the aftermath since New Year's Eve. We've applied for federal relief and floods for the floods, and staff's also working on repairs to city infrastructure. And since the shooting, staff has also been working pretty extensively on the community events geared towards the shooting and the recovery, as well as helping the impacted families get into housing, which has been a pretty big deal since the shooting. So that's all we have for city council updates. If there are any questions.
Eddie, can you tell us a little more about how is the city involved? I don't know if you can expand on anything you just said, but it's like, aren't the other agencies? I mean, I'm confused about this whole thing because I believe the shootings were in places that are not in Half Moon Bay per se, in the city limits.
Eddie, if you'd like, I can take that. So last night, actually, at the council meeting, we gave a rather thorough report out on the shooting and the status and the work that the city is doing.
Oh, but sorry,
Yeah, in the 92, but just in the 92 piece of the shooting, we have discovered that a portion of the living area is actually within city limits. But even before that, we had actually decided to work with the county, since any relocation would more than likely be within the city limits for these families. So we are partnering with the county and with the nonprofits in the area and hoping to get more support from the state. But we're working to try to find right now temporary housing for the families. And I believe as of yesterday, every family that was impacted by the shooting on both areas were actually put into temporary housing while we search for a more permanent solution. The county we've been partnering. So the county has actually played a big role in actually finding the locations. But our own staff, primarily Julissa Acosta and Karen Decker, have been working nonstop to actually find other locations that we could move these families in. And then meanwhile, on the second half of it, Jill Ikas and Mike Nochi are working on a task force with county. Actually, there's a lot more county people on that task force, are working with them. And that's where John is also involved in actually looking at our housing element that's already been done, but also kind of trying to work a little bit more towards changing it so that there's more options for housing a little bit faster. There's certain limitations to the things that we already had planned for housing. So they're working with the task force to see if there's other options, both within the city limits and in the unincorporated area as well. Well, then that's where the county comes in and the state as well. So it is a true partnership, Paulette. I appreciate you asking that because sometimes it does appear that either one or the other organization is doing majority of the work, but it has been a true partnership.
Okay, good.
And then I think the agenda has the staff report. And so Matthew gave an update and we actually have the staff report actually gives a pretty good rendering of what we've been doing so far.
Thank you.
That wraps up the city council update portion. And then we move on to congratulations to Chair Stamper and Vice Chair Eisen for holding these positions this year. We're very thankful that you were here and able to steer the ship with us. And we're not always an easy group to work with and to deal with. And we would thank you for your patience and all your hard work you've done. I know we're going to miss saying Chair Stamper and Vice Chair Eisen, but it's time to fill those roles again this year. So with that being said, we can move on into nominations for 2023's Chair and Vice Chair.
Shall we start with the chair or what do we want to start with?
You know what? Right, Hillary's still the chair until she's replaced. So Hillary, what do you think?
Oh, okay.
Why don't we do chair first?
Perfect. Okay, who's going to be the first one?
Are there any rules about like anyone can be nominated except the people who just served?
Even the people who just served can be nominated.
Yeah.
I see.
So,
Okay.
No rules. It's Wild West here.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. But I'm going to move to nominate a Vice Chair Eisen for chair, if he is willing to serve.
I am.
Okay.
Sure. I second that.
You call a vote, Maggie?
All right. Commissioner Eisen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jennings,
Yes.
Vice Chair Eisen. I don't know if you can vote first.
Yes.
And Chair Stamper.
Yeah.
All right. Motion carries. Congratulations, Chair Eisen.
Great. And I don't know if we want to have, RJ, how would you feel about being in a role, having joined just recently. I would be
I'm
happy to nominate RJ for vice chair, if you would accept the nomination.
I'm up for it.
Great. Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Commissioner Eisen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jennings,
Yes.
Chair Eisen, Vice Chair Eisen, I don't know,
Yeah, yes.
and Chair Stamper.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries.
Right, thank you both. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now we're moving on into the priority setting agenda, and I believe Maggie and Lisa sent those out to everybody. Does anyone not have a copy of that with them? I can forward it if you don't have it.
Yeah, so I sent out I had Maggie send out a separate agenda. Because luckily we have some time, so this won't necessarily need to be rushed, but I did want to keep us organized, in terms of getting some things accomplished tonight. And so that we can move forward. So by the next meeting, you have a document and goal and priorities to vote on. So if Eddie can, he'll resend the agenda unless you already have it, and I can just kind of walk you through. But I'll just go ahead and walk you through as Eddie's probably resending it. So I'd like to, first I actually already did my introduction, but also just so you're all aware, even before the decision was made about the roles with the city, John had asked me to come in and help facilitate this. I do have some experience in facilitating priority setting sessions, goal setting sessions. So and then he thought it'd be good for a person to come in who was not directly involved. Well, at the time, now I'm directly involved, but I'm still objective. So I thought we'd let Eddie go through kind of a list of the 2022 accomplishments. Then we'll actually do a review of the 2022 priorities. On this agenda that was sent out to you, I've actually identified the ones that have been, quote, completed, and the ones that are ongoing. We had one that was canceled. And actually, I apologize. So I included special projects from 2022 because these were projects that the commission supported. However, Magnolia Park is on there twice. So I apologize for that. It is part of your commission priorities. So, but Smithfield was also something you took on in terms of the community and getting them involved in that decision making. So I will give like a 2-line update on where we are on that. And then after we kind of go through that discussion, then we will talk about future priorities, opportunities for 2022, and then we will move on to the development of your priorities. And so again, we kind of listed a couple things that have come up in the past from commissioners that they'd like to see as priorities, and it didn't necessarily happen in 2022, but it could in 2023. And we'll see. And then we'll start a group brainstorm. At that point, I will put a blank Word document on my screen. I will share my screen, put a blank Word document, and we will do a true brainstorm where everybody will just kind of give their ideas, their thoughts. There won't be any discussion at that point. There won't be any questions, just free flow. We want people to just get their ideas on paper. Once you feel that everything's been captured, then we'll go back and we can ask questions. We can get clarifications. We can, commissioners can talk amongst themselves to make sure that everybody understands what's being put up there. And then what we would like to propose doing is that once you're all confident with the way that document looks, then we as staff will take the document and compose it into a working document for you all. And then bring that back for commission input, editing, revision, and then obviously you'll vote on it. And you can move on making that. So that will happen at the next meeting, which is February 22nd. So we'll turn this, so we didn't want to lose any time because we had to postpone this particular meeting. So we will take that, we'll work through it, edit it, put things as, it won't be a long document, maybe a page and a half, just like last year's. And then bring it back for the commission to, again, discuss, kind of vent through the ideas, ask the questions, and decide if those will be your priorities for the next year. So that's the process I have laid out. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I think so. I'd like to, I don't know but I'd like to go over each line item of the 2022 commission priorities and see if we're all agreed that this is either completed or whether it's ongoing, and how we want to, put it onto the 2023 in what way, or,
Well, we can do that. My idea was, though, that if you wanted to move it into 2023, that would be during the brainstorming section. Then you tell me, oh, add back beach volleyball because we still have more work to do. And then we just add it in. And then when you've had everything on the brainstorm, then we go back through and commissioners could discuss.
okay.
One question that I did want to ask along the line, the line by line, is just, are there any things that we completed that you guys do not see on the completed list?
I'm thinking the Frenchman's Creek.
Yes.
Was that a priority, or should I put that under special projects?
I'm not sure.
I'll put Frenchman's Creek under either way, it's going to be on here. I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, okay.
I'll put it under the special projects. Frenchman's Creek.
Yeah, that seems fine, because there's still the ongoing Frenchman's Creek final things.
Okay.
There's still another few phases, I think, of that project.
Yeah.
And then including the Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Rec proposed donor wall. That was also another kind of element of that project.
All right.
But the Friends don't, because the Friends priority, our jobs and ours don't intermingle, do they? I mean, we help with their stuff, but they don't go on our priority list, do they? Okay. So we will go line by line. I want to assure you.
Yeah.
Is the mural on the list? Was that part of our?
Oh, that's a special, yeah, because you guys heard
That's right. We voted on that, and yeah.
So I'm going to put Pumpkin Festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's also I'm going to keep that in Friends of Parks and Rec and not Parks and Rec.
And is the bell on our list, or is that?
Is the what? I'm sorry.
The bell, the spirit bell.
Spirit bell.
I think that is on your list because it's an arts.
Right.
It is. The adopting of the bell came to the commission and then was ultimately adopted by the council, correct, Lisa? And I think
And actually then Kim Paul as well, right? The donation to Kim Paul donated.
Right.
the next time that the commission will hear about that bell is when we start looking at concept drawings for the little inlet park that's planned for it. But I think until that, we won't hear too much more about the spirit bell.
Okay, so I'm going to add art donation, spirit, wait, what is it called? The spirit
Bell.
bell. And then I'm going to put Ken Paul's.
And so with the art thing, it makes me think, I think it was in 2022 that we ended up finally with a complete public art policy.
Yes. We had the decommissioning policy, the policy on decommissioning, and then overall the policy and
Right.
art policy.
Right.
Art
Acquisition.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's completed. So I will put
that's completed. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And if we think of more, while we're going through the list, if you think of more, we can add it as we start coming down on the list.
Okay.
And what I probably will do is I will share my screen so you can, as we go through each, I will show you.
Okay.
But I won't share my screen yet because Eddie, you will now, it's your turn to talk about 2022 accomplishments. And this is not necessarily Recreation Commission only, this is Recreation Department accomplishments, right?
Correct. And this is something a little new to the process this year. We thought it might be good to take just a couple minutes here and go over some highlights from the year, some accomplishments. Not just a benefit for the priority setting process itself, and inspiring some new ideas for you, but also for RJ's benefit. He can get kind of a better idea of the scope of the projects and the services we're involved in. So yeah, we'll just go from there.
Put the pressure on the new vice. That the
Correct. Okay, great. So again, this is just an overview of some of the highlights and accomplishments from the year. We can start off with our special events. We do a handful of really fun, engaging special events throughout the year. Just starting in order, our annual Easter egg hunt that we run in coordination with the Boys and Girls Club, the Coast Side, and the school district. We hold that over at Cunha Middle School soccer fields. And it was actually canceled, obviously, in 2020 due to COVID. We brought the event back in 2021, but it wasn't the same feel that you would have seen in the past. We had to have folks and families reserve time slots, and it just felt like not really an organic, fun, family-oriented egg hunt. It just was too structured. So this year, this summer, or this last spring was our first spring bringing it back. And the city's part in that, what we do is we split the advertising and promotion costs with the Boys and Girls Club for this event, and it's a free event. The city also purchases the supplies for the event, any signage needed, and in addition to providing staff the day of the event. But this year we saw 330 families at that event, which was pretty epic, at least 50 more than we had seen in 2019. So that's one of our really great events, and we try to get the commission involved in that from time to time. In the past, Paulette, I think, has come out and given away baskets to the kids that get the special prize eggs and things like that. But it's just a really great event. We're glad to see it come back this year. Also, the concerts in the park. We hold these, as you probably know, all the Saturdays in the month of August at McEacher Plaza, and we continue with the mission of booking bands that are diverse both in their gender, but in their culture and their ethnicity and the music that they provide. And it's always a really great event. This year, we were able to have some great nonprofits at each one of the 4 concerts in the park. Did you say something, Paulette?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so what we do at these, we have our 2 standing nonprofits that come to all of them. That's the Half Moon Bay Library and the Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Rec. And then we offer that 3rd spot to a new nonprofit each weekend of the month. And so we were able to have a LOS and National Park Service, the California State Parks, and Safe Routes to School as our nonprofits this year at the Concerts in the Park event. Which was really well received. Also, Summer's End was our 3rd year hosting that event this year. Typically in the past, we hold this event at Carter Park, and for obvious reasons, we didn't have access to the park this year. So we made do and selected a location downtown that we thought was conducive to our event and the size and the scope of Summer's End. And we were able, given this increased space to operate in, we're able to offer more tabling opportunities to more nonprofits this year. So instead of just having 5 nonprofits, we had 8. We had the Half Moon Bay Library, we had the Golden Gate National Park Conservancy, we had the Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side, Chamber of Commerce, Safe Routes to School, California State Parks, National Park Service, and the Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Recreation. So we made do with the new location, and it seemed to be pretty successful to the point where a lot of people suggested potentially keeping the event downtown rather than having it at Carter Park. But that's a conversation for our Summer's End subcommittee to have. Moving on, our Saturday with Santa event. That's a partnership event with the Half Moon Bay Library, and we've been doing that event for 3 years. It's a free event. This year, we're able to partner, in addition to the Half Moon Bay Library, we partnered with the Sheriff's Activity League, the Fire Protection District, and the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department were all involved in this event this year. And we saw over 360 families in the 4 hours that we hosted that event at the library. So again, it was a really well-received event. We look forward to it every year. But like every year, we try to bring on new projects, new events, new programs, and that's where we have the Northern California Amateur Skateboard League competition. This group approached us early last winter with an idea of adding a location to their Bay Area skateboard competitions here in Half Moon Bay. And we were really excited to be able to partner with them to host this event for the first time. It's the first time we've been able to use the skate park for recreation purposes. So it was just a really great event. We put a little bit of funding behind it, provide some amenities for the families, and ultimately we saw almost 70 participants in that skateboard competition. And it was just really successful. And I asked our city manager, Matthew Chittister, initially, is this something that we would be interested in? He's a skateboarder, so he of course was all supportive for it. So it was a great time, great event. I'll move on to some recreation programming. This year was a record year for our youth camps. It's always been a little tough in the department to fill up every week of the summer with camps just due to low enrollment or other options and opportunities for families elsewhere in the coast. For example, in the summer of 21, we were only able to hold 5 weeks of summer camps, serving 51 youth. So it was an okay summer camp year. This year, we were able to hold 11 camps and serve 119 youth. So whether that was a product of the lack of childcare here on the coast side or whatever the case, it definitely showed here in the department. So we, over doubling what we had seen the year before in regards to youth programming in the summer. So definitely good news there. Our third year this year of our 3-month adult softball league. When I first started here in 2017, the community was very adamant and outspoken about this softball league, how it used to be very robust and everyone loved it. So it was one of the first things that we were able to bring back. So this was the third year that we provided those leagues to the community, and it impacts a lot of people. We had, between our men's and co-ed league, we had 16 teams, roughly 18, 16 people per team. So through that league, we're serving, between 250 and 275 of our community members through adult softball league. So good news there. Also, as we mentioned in December, December marked our year anniversary of our MOU with the Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side and the school district, allowing us to use the event center for recreation. So I know we mentioned that last month. I thought it was worth mentioning again, as this year anniversary has allowed us to begin conversations with the Boys and Girls Club and the school district and Mavericks regarding access to the pool. So because we've built this relationship and kind of proven ourselves to be good stewards of the Boys and Girls Club and the school district's facilities, we're now entertaining the idea of get into the aquatics realm pretty soon. So good news. And again, with programming, we always want to try to do something new and add on to our repertoire, so to speak. A few years ago, we did a poll on Nextdoor and asked some of our adults in our community, what are some fun events, some fun services, programs you would like to see? And an overwhelming amount of people wanted to see kickball happening at our park. So we had staff here in the department coordinate and put together a 3-month Coastside Kickball League, which was really well received. We saw about 7 teams throughout the 3 months that participated in this kickball league. So always nice to try something and see it successful, and people ask to have it back again. So it's fun to add something new to the list of programming. And other programs and projects, our COVID testing site. Since COVID started, for the first part, all of 2020, the city staff, along with some of our CERT folks from the community and a handful of volunteers, ran a COVID testing site here in the community center. And then we did that all the way through 2021. And at the end of 2021, the city entered into an agreement with the county to allow them to take up a residency here for a year in the community center and offering 3 days a week COVID testing. So we've now completed that contract in December, and we're done with COVID testing. We've made it through, and it looks like it won't be returning here to the community center, but we're really grateful we were able to provide that service, that much needed service to the community. Another fun item from the year I might not have brought up to the commission, the Half Moon Bay High School grad night. Those of you that are familiar with the high school activities here in town, that's a long-standing tradition here with the high school students where the night before their graduation, they rent out the IDES hall and have kind of a shut-in for the grad students. Unfortunately, this last spring, they weren't able to lock in that hall for their reception. So the grad night board was kind of in a bind, and they approached the city staff and said, is there a facility we can have for 3 days to accommodate this program, this hugely successful event? And then we deferred that to Matthew Chittister, who, lucky for the high school, went to the high school and participated in that grad night. So he was very supportive of it. We gave them sole access to the community center for 3 days to host their event. And it was just kind of like a cool thing to be a part of and be able to help out with. And then moving on, our bi-monthly food distribution. Again, since 2020, the city has taken the lead on the food distribution program that used to be run by the school district here out of the community center. That was run only by recreation staff and a handful of volunteers through 2021. And then in the beginning of 2022, we found a really great group of volunteers who agreed to take the lead on this program, run it, allow our staff to take a step back and focus on their duties. So it's been great that in 2022, we're able to kind of hand off this great program, much needed program, to a great group of folks. Also, the SURF school license agreement I brought to the commission just a few months ago, not for direction, but it was an informative presentation to kind of let the commission know this new project and duty assigned to the recreation department and what that entailed. And so we outlined this user agreement for the SURF schools. And while we weren't looking for guidance or input, we did get some really great ideas from the commission. And I thought it was worth mentioning tonight that that wasn't lost on us, and we did pass those suggestions up. One primarily, I think Chair Stamper brought up, was requiring the SURF schools to offer a percentage of scholarships to students that participate in their schools. And ideas and input like that were not taken lightly, and we wrote them down and we documented it. And we definitely want to integrate those suggestions into the next round when we update those MOUs for the next year. So I want to thank you all for that. And finally, arts and culture. Arts and culture, this is a topic that was brought to Matthew and John and myself by Councilmember Jimenez a month or so back towards the end of the year. And Joaquin's idea was figuring out a way that we can bring the focus of arts and culture into this community center, into the recreation department. And it's a really great idea. And so we've been working behind the scenes on trying to make arts and culture a focus somehow in the department. And it turned into a conversation of contacting, communicating with the folks at Moonridge and Mid-Penn Housing to potentially be able to offer programming out there at Moonridge. While the community out there is not technically in the city limits, we definitely know that they are our community and that they need our help. So this arts and culture conversation went that direction and then turned into another idea of potentially rebranding the community center here. As you know, we're no longer the senior community center. The senior co-siders are on Main Street. So there's a little confusion with the name of the community center here. So the idea was to change it to an arts and culture center. And we would be able to provide different groups, different cultures that are represented in our community to have representation here through the community center by offering them specific nights out of the month where they can host celebrations, presentations, just really provide them a platform to be represented how they would like to be represented. So the arts and culture, it's a little vague right now, but we'll definitely be talking to you a lot more about this in the upcoming months. And like I said, we've been working on some ideas with Councilmember Jimenez. So fun stuff in the works. We accomplished some fun stuff this year and looking forward to 2023. And with that being said, I think I'm done with my little part. If there are any questions.
Thank you.
We have a copy of that, Eddie?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I don't really have any questions. Does anybody else, anything else to discuss on that?
Well,
It's a lot of stuff.
my only comment is on your last piece. We'll see how that all develops, but honestly, I'd like to see us being able to accomplish some of the things that we are struggling to accomplish before we start adding and also adding a population that's not even within the Half Moon Bay city limits to be dealing with them. So I really would like us to focus our efforts and energy on doing things that are still so outstanding and haven't been completed at all and are dragging, like Carter Park is a great example. So that's my comment on that.
Thank you.
And then
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hillary.
just quick follow up that I do think that there were a few good accomplishments in the agenda that you don't have in your PowerPoint. And so it might be nice to just integrate some of those things in the PowerPoint if we're going to have like a record of all the accomplishments. They're not all there in your PowerPoint.
Well, what Eddie was trying to do was just specifically the recreation department staff work. And so when we do the budget, everything is captured in the budget document under
Great.
recreation. Okay. Yeah, so everything is merged together. So the commission and the department work, staff work, will all be connected within the new budget when we start listing accomplishments. So, and then, so we'll go on to priorities. And actually, Paulette made me think of something. So also keep in mind too, when you're thinking of your projects. So Carter Park is something that's been out there and still ongoing. However, keep in mind that that's, for lack of a better phrase, out of your hands. It is a public works CIP project. And so that's where it lies right now. And so as much as we'd want to push it forward, which we all do, a lot of times some of these projects, whereas like the cultural, adding something that's a project within the recreation department center may be actually feasible for the Recreation Commission to be engaged and be involved and push that through.
All right, so Lisa, I don't know if you're aware, but the other part B of Carter Park was that, and this has been in discussion for well over a year, which is to identify how to raise funds for the portion of, for the portion that we have not been funded for, and to identify how, like how to do it, whether to get a consultant for fundraising, to figure out the different sites on the Carter Park plan as to how to identify maybe where a donation might be acknowledged, or if just the whole fundraising, the additional fundraising part that has not been done. No meeting, which was again one of those we'll meet. A year has gone by, we haven't met, and it hasn't been done. So that's another major part of the whole Carter Park. But speaking of Carter Park, if we're going to talk about it, maybe Lisa, you can give us an update, because we do not understand why nothing is moving forward on Carter Park.
Okay, yes. And so I'm on that note, I'm going to take back the agenda And I am going to give you updates. I actually have that ready to go as we go through the commission priorities. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you all see the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So I do have some updates ready on some of the public works CIP projects that are coming, or that are also Recreation Commission priorities. So I do have some updates as we go through this list. And I know you want to go line item by line item. What I would ask in the interest of time is, since this is a priority setting session, that we actually kind of have a very concise discussion about each of these priorities. And that if there is an ongoing discussion that needs to happen, that we put it in the parking lot and we can bring it back next meeting as an agenda item. Because, I want to make sure we get through to the brainstorming and still be mindful and respectful of the time that we keep you online. So let's go through the priorities line by line, and I'm sharing my screen, but I can't see all of you. So I apologize. Let me try to, I can't. Sorry, I'm trying to use this. There we go. So I don't want to miss anybody in case but it's a smaller group, so we can always speak up. So 2022 commission priorities, these were rearranged, but these were actually priorities, from what I understand, that the group actually voted on last year as your formal priorities, understanding that down below is special projects in 2022. Those came up and the commission took them on as well. So the first was the city school Boys and Girls Club MOU for facilities. That was actually completed. I believe Eddie worked on that, and the city and the Boys and Girls Club and school signed an agreement for the MOU. So I marked that as completed.
Okay, Lisa, can
Do
I
you want us to jump in? Yeah.
on
Do you want
each of those, on each item would be good to get clarification. So completed means, is this an agreement with a time limit on it, or is it there's no time limit?
It's an MOU. So as of right now, I believe it's ongoing. If we need to renew, it just would be it would be kind of like the labor MOUs. They have I don't know if this one actually has a deadline, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it would end. It just means that we would actually get a new document signed.
Okay, good.
Well, and wait a second. What is included in the current document? Because for me, some of the things that we're still missing, like a great example is at the middle school, like nobody has access to the tennis courts. Nobody has access to the Boys and Girls Club. Nobody has access to the fields for the soccer teams. Like when people were gone for winter break, those fields were locked and all the kids that wanted to play couldn't get in. It just didn't make any sense. So what is the MOU? What are we getting access to?
I think this is an inter-use MOU, meaning that we can actually reserve their basketball courts for actual scheduled events that we have, and they can use our facility for events that they have. It's not necessarily granting public access. That's a whole different topic of discussion, which has actually been brought up on a different note. But so this is actually just for cross use of the facilities. It's not necessarily an MOU allowing public use of these facilities. Either way, it's so that we have an event. So I guess we started drop-in basketball. So we use the Boys and Girls Club gym for that. They had, during COVID, I know they used a couple of our rooms at Ted Adcock for the Boys and Girls Club used it for their after school program. So I believe, Eddie, am I getting that correct?
Absolutely. And Adam, just to go a little farther in detail on that, for the closure in December, in the MOU, we only signed an agreement through the month of November, knowing that the citywide furlough happened, the holidays, just a decrease in traffic wasn't something that was going to be would make sense for us. So we didn't even have that worked into our MOU to have access in December. Now there was a little bit of breakdown in
No, that one's fine. That was the gym. That one's just a breakdown in communication. That's fine. That one I'm less concerned about. I'm more concerned about the fact that we have, you know, hundreds of coastside kids that need something to do for winter break, and they have access to no facilities in the town for some reason. That I find
that is crazy.
it's freaking crazy, and it's my number one priority.
Supposed to be for community use.
Yeah,
So-
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna interrupt you guys because now we're starting to go
Yeah.
into brainstorming. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
We can forget it. Because I think access to public facilities might be a good priority.
Yeah, we'll get there. I just wanted to understand what it was. So thank you for that. I got it.
Great.
And then feel free to move on. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. This is good. First night event, which I believe turned into Make It Main Street. And so I put completed, but I put also as ongoing after the initial discussion tonight. I realized that even though it's been created, we're partnering with the Make It Main Street people. It's an ongoing thing that, will help publicize, will help staff, those type of things. So I changed it from completed to ongoing. And ongoing, sorry.
All right. Anything there? So my initial first night idea, I love first of all that we had something Make It Main Street and the whole scene. The initial idea behind first night was an event that would happen during New Year's, like a family-friendly town event, and we can take that offline. But I love that we are. Our partnership with the chamber and the way that we're utilizing downtown has definitely increased, and I'm thankful. And so yes, I think that's a good one to put as continuing.
Yes, but I also did another brainstorming. First night, New Year's family event. So, okay. Beach sand volleyball courts, I marked as completed. Eddie, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
I have some things to say.
Okay.
The beach sand courts at the beach were completed, but they are still on a temporary basis. And so we need to have that permanent application in place in order so that they can just be easily put up each year. Because right now they're on emergency permit basis. So for that to be an easier process for staff and everyone, this application, we need I think a coastal development permit of some kind needs to be submitted. And then once that's through, then they can just be put up annually.
When you say coastal development, do you mean coastal commission? It has to go to the coastal
I am not, Jill Ekus would know because she was trying to push that through and then all these things happened that prevented her from finishing it. So two things, it's almost time to put the courts up again, and we'll need to get that temporary permit yet again, I'm guessing, because now we've had all these other community events that have busied staff even more. So we'll probably need to apply for the temporary permit yet again. And then the following year, we'll need to apply for hopefully the permanent approval to get them put in seasonally.
Yeah, I think you just need to put ongoing on that, Lisa, so that it's completed and ongoing. Yeah.
Yes, it definitely is completed. It was a huge success. It just is not. There's still going to be work. And then the second piece of courts is that we had tried to start a process of getting courts at the high school, and that process was slowed after the transition of Nazar and a couple of other factors. So that is not completed, and we just need to look at that again.
Okay, high school courts, is that part of the beach and sand volleyball courts?
Yes.
Piece? Okay.
That we were exploring as a partnership.
Okay.
But that's separate from, that's a separate kind of project from the
Separate project.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's maybe another brainstorming priority. So to part 2 of this, part 3, because part 2 is making a permanent and then 3 is, okay. Carter Park, I'm going to stop my share because I have to call up another document. And Okay. So Carter Park, what I've been given, and mind you, Eddie and I are not as equipped because it is truly in public works project management right now. What I have from you is a update. But if you need actually more in depth, we need to add it back to the agenda for next time. So Carter Park, the project unfortunately remains on hold pending resolution of construction access issues. Staff is taking the opportunity to evaluate the project design in light of January storm events with architect and contractor. We anticipate some minor changes, none of which will affect the basic design and function of the site. Due to the sensitivity of the issue and potential legal issues, staff cannot provide any additional information on when construction activity might commence again. So that is the part.
That's disturbing.
Yeah, we're not
Disturbing update because, you know, we've been given money and we're showing as a town that we don't know how to deal with it.
Well, I understand that point of view, but it truly is not something that the city can control, unfortunately, at this point.
But Lisa,
Which
this
is
was supposed to be set up already. So, I mean, somebody's got to be in control.
We were, and it was. So that's all I can say. But we are, I think, you know, we are getting somewhere with it. So we're optimistic that we will be able to move forward again. And plus with the storm damage and stuff, I think that's what they're working on right now. So we're optimistic that this year, you know, not this year, I'm sorry, I shouldn't make it sound that ominous. We're optimistic that we can begin work on it again. I don't want to say soon, but we're hoping soon. So that's Carter Park. And so I put ongoing. Magnolia Park, I don't know why I stopped sharing because I have the same document here. Magnolia Park, consultant is revising the concept plan to reflect community workshop input. Revised concept will be presented to commission in the April.
Lisa, you took it off screen. We can't see anything except each other right now.
Oh no, I know, because I'm reading from the same document about Magnolia Park. That was the next item, Magnolia Park.
Okay.
The next item on the list on the agenda, the updates, was Magnolia Park. And so I wanted to give Magnolia Park master planning. And so I took it off the screen so I could read the document. And basically it's the consultant is revising the concept plan to reflect community workshop input. The revised concept will be presented to the Recreation Commission in April or May of 2023. And let me share my agenda again. Okay, and here we go.
So Lisa, do we feel like, what's your, I guess, almost personal perspective on Carter Park? Or like, besides the report, just give me perspective, just so I can, what do you got?
You know, I think we hit a bit of a bump in the road, but I don't think it's insurmountable. I believe it's something that we're working through. It's just very time consuming and it's just a very delicate issue. So, but I am truly optimistic. I think things are moving forward. It's just that they are moving forward slowly. And again, it's not surmountable. It just needs to be handled very tactfully and very carefully.
Is there any possibility we are going to, great answer. Is there any possibility that we will lose the funding?
No. We've actually been in constant contact with the state. And actually, quite honestly, once I was actually part of the transition when they handed over the money for the park. And they just, once the project's done, they didn't actually assert any kind of timeline on us. We asserted the timeline on ourselves because it's such an important project. But the state actually, there wasn't a lot of strict parameters around it, which the woman who was in charge of making sure we got the funding said that that happens sometimes with projects like this. that, you know, they understood the concept, but they didn't want to put any restrictions on it. So we are fortunate in that sense. And actually going back to what Paulette said, and looking at when we start talking about our priorities for the next year, I mean, this might be the window you need to start the fundraising, training, and development piece of it. So, but no, we will not, to Adam, I hope I answered that, but no, we are not in danger of losing that funding.
No, I love those answers. Thank you so much. That is very helpful information.
You're welcome. Okay, so Carter Park, Magnolia Park, both ongoing. Earth Day activities, as you know, they were canceled. That doesn't, and that, you know, that could be for this year as well. I know that we are planning to, the sustainability crew is planning something for Earth Day. And I believe last year, the only reason they were ready to go, the only reason it was canceled was because of the COVID outbreak.
Okay, I'm not sure why you're saying it was canceled. We had the same Earth Day activities last year as the year before. I attended it over.
And you and I disagreed on this. So this is, I'm curious to hear what Lisa's got on this. So here we go.
Over at Smith Field. And so, you know, they did their thing and it was all good. The only thing that I was suggesting when it came to Earth Day, and I gave Matthew and Eddie the contact information for Joe from State Parks, was that we wanted to expand our Earth Day activities. And one of the easiest ways to expand it was to join the Wildflower Day. They would do their thing in the afternoon. We would do our thing that we have been doing these last 3 years or 4 years in the morning. And we'd be able to have like a full day of Earth Day activities.
I believe the reason it was that the information was given to me that was canceled, and Eddie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was that the staff had actually been planning a larger event. And they did do some activities in relationship to Earth Day because they were outdoors and they could actually participate. But the activities that they had actually wanted to do were in fact canceled. And in fact, I remember we did participate with the Wildflower group, didn't we?
No, because they had it on a different day. That's the problem. We are not coordinating our two events so that it could be one big event. They loved the idea when I presented it to them, but whether the staff has followed up on that or not, I have no idea.
Bob had a table out there. I don't know if Bob had a table out there for the Wildflower event. So Bob was out there.
Yeah, I talked to Bob when he was there, and I suggested that he thought that was a great idea as well.
Yeah. So I think it's just because the scale of the activities that we had planned were not truly put out there. Eddie, is that, what is your recollection? Because the staff is the one that told us it was canceled.
The larger event that was planned for Smithfield was canceled that day, and I want to say it was due to scheduling issues with the Little League, and there are some other factors. But we had a larger event planned, but it was canceled in April.
Well, I'll put ongoing though, so that we can. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course this is something.
Wait. I'm so sorry. Can we go back to that one? I'm so sorry. So did we ever have an Earth Day where there was a bunch of event happening in downtown?
Not downtown, Adam, but we've worked with a bunch of nonprofits, and we would stage a largish event out in the space in front of the library. We closed that part of Parisima, and the nonprofits would come and set up tables. We had composting areas. That was in 2020. That was 2019.
Probably 2019. Yeah.
That was it. And that was the biggest we'd seen. But we had plans to do a big composting element to the new event in 22. And there were plans to make it bigger and put it in a larger area. But again, it got canceled.
No worries. Good. But we're on for this year so far?
Yes, sir.
I believe so. I believe sustainability, because we're fully staffed now in that department, I believe they will move forward with the Earth Day activities. So as soon as they have anything planned, we'll definitely make sure you all know about it. Information requests, meetings, collaborations. I also mark this as ongoing because it's something that always should be ongoing for every commission. These are some of the groups that you had asked Eddie to, or staff to bring to your meetings, information. Coastside-wide Coastal Trail Planning Group, Granada Community Services District, and other community event organizers. So, and then
A group that I think we should add to that is honestly the what are they called? Our advisory, our pedestrian and bike and trail advisory group, because we really do intersect with them.
I know what you're talking about, but
I agree.
BPAC.
pedestrian committee. So that's BPAC, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We're on TV and I'm muttering to myself. Okay.
And I'm curious to understand that. I mean, and Eddie, you can educate me, but like the Boys and Girls Club, like, and maybe this is for later on in our discussion, but do we need to bring them in? Do we need to partner with them more? Like, what do we have to do? Maybe from your perspective, be able to kind of like align more with them.
And Adam, you kind of broke up a little bit there. What was the idea behind that to partner and align with them, and in what regard?
So, like a great example, and maybe this is part of the brainstorming later, is again that whole winter break time period. There's so little activity that's being done for our coastside youth. And that seems like a great opportunity to be like, all right, Boys and Girls Club, do you have any clubs going on? Do you have any this? Do you have any that? And then what are we doing to then supplement as a city? I think this last winter break, there was literally nothing for anybody, which is fine. And that's why we're trying to work on it. But, I look at a community and I'm kind of like, all right, the youth needs to, especially in this video game world that exists, the youth needs to be active. We got to create something for the time period where school doesn't exist. How do we do that? And like, how do we partner with organizations to also do it? Because if they're doing it, we might not have to as much.
Yeah, I think that is definitely going to be on the priority list. I put down winter break activities because it sounds like more than just an information request. It actually sounds like something of a project, a collaboration between the Boys and Girls Club, the city, and whatever else youth organizations are out there.
Or the other thing is the recreation department might look at having some kind of winter school break program. Things that you offer, whether it's, as Adam is talking, drop-in things or game things or whatever, just to have a way for kids to be engaged during these breaks. Where for some people, if they're not going to like Tahoe, they've got nothing to do. If they're here especially in rainy weather in Half Moon Bay, so a lot of it is going to be geared for indoors, and there's nothing indoors happening at that time.
Okay.
Well, and certainly closing up main areas that kids normally play is a terrible thing.
No,
Yeah.
but I was more, I got all that. And I agree. But I was more kind of talking about like bringing in the Boys and Girls Club to our meetings to be able, so similar to the topic at hand, bringing them in to be able to strategize with them. But maybe that's something you guys do on your own and we don't need them in the meetings. But that's where I was kind of going with the conversation. I wasn't trying to like rehash the same issue.
Okay, so go boys, but that's a good idea. So like information, maybe like once a quarter they come in to talk about their project.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay, I added that on to information. I'm going to highlight this because to me, this is kind of beyond just priorities and something that should be done all the time. So when we're putting together your document, we'll be able to kind of section off priorities, but also I think we'll create new sections for things that are ongoing for the commission. Okay, so that's the actual formal priorities. Here are some special projects. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Here are some special projects from 2022. Field, and I do have an update for you on Smith Field. And I have to stop sharing for a minute because I have to, I apologize. I'm at a conference in Sacramento and I'm working on my little laptop. So otherwise I'd have.
We think you are doing an exceptionally great job and you're covering stuff that you're not used to covering and you're doing it wonderfully well. So there's no apologies needed.
That's Lisa Lopez.
Exactly. That's what we get.
Are both just, I'm going to blush now, but thank you very much for that confidence. I really appreciate that. Okay, so Smithfield Park, I am reading verbatim. City staff and consultant team are preparing design and environmental documents needed to seek approval of a coastal development permit based upon approved facilities master plan. Anticipate consideration of CDP in September, October of 2023. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask Public Works and Jill. Coastal development permit, I'm wondering if that's where we go to the Coastal Commission, because I know that does take a lot of time. So I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure that is, yes, Coastal Commission.
So that is where we,
not 100% sure, but pretty sure.
I will definitely find out for everybody. So that is where we are with Smithfield. And let me go back to my screen. Okay. I did it to you guys again. I'm not gonna stop sharing. I'm just gonna move this over.
So the Smithfield piece, give it to me again in like very simple English again, because I somehow missed that.
Okay, so, and I stopped sharing. So basically, when we're talking about Smithfield, we're still working on design and environmental documents, but they need to go before the coastal. We think the Coastal Commission for the coastal development permit, because obviously we have to do that for almost everything we do in the city. And it's the approval is based upon the facilities master plan, which includes all the design and environmental documents. Once we get that, we'll also be considering the CDP, which is the coastal development permit. They anticipate that it's going in front of the body for consideration in September or October 2023. And that's why I think it's the Coastal Commission, because it does take time and they put things on the agenda. Well, I don't know. I still have not figured out what their method is to how they put things on the agenda. So we are preparing our documents so that when it goes in front of when it is being considered for the coastal development permit, it's ready to go and all the questions have been answered that we've gotten in advance and it's ready to be approved and we can start work.
Perfect. That makes, I follow all that. Okay. My question with that one, where, and I don't know if you can publicly talk about this, but where are we at with the quote unquote funding of Smithfield, or do we have to get all that done before we get to that point?
No.
No, and it's a work in progress. I put a note here because I will find out for you, Adam. I am not 100% sure. I know it's ongoing work with funding. In fact, I was just sending information. We're looking for grants. We're constantly looking for the funding to try to get it in place so that when it is improved, we can just move forward. So I don't know exactly. I don't know amounts. And I know there was a special consideration for some funding that was going to be given to us. And that's still, as far as I know, that is still the plan.
Okay.
And the city is also working on our own grants, trying to get some funding for this project.
Okay. Let me ask a couple more questions. I love this. So it is my understanding, and so now we're getting back to possibly who we might need to bring into the conversation, that the conversation for Hatch Field has been happening, and that is starting to be formed. There are a couple of options that are out there on the table for Hatchfield. To me, what happens at Hatchfield would then determine what I would want to do personally for Smithfield based on the plans that were outlined. So I would love for us to come together with the people designing Hatchfield and make sure we're aligned with the space and use that is being planned for each one of those areas, so we don't overlap on top of each other and we serve the community to the best possible way.
Okay.
So, and I believe that's going to require, the obviously Cabrillo, who's got I think they just put 3 plans out through their commission recently. And I'm not sure which one they're more in favor of or anything like that yet. But good conversation to get everybody aligned.
Okay. I made a note next to the document.
Thank you.
Okay. And then, so the next item is the Frenchman Creeks Park, which of course is ongoing. And let me read that update. Frenchman Creek Park's consultant team is preparing final construction plans and bid documents based upon the commission recommended concept design. Anticipate seeking coastal development permit approval from Planning Commission. Oh, so the coastal development permit approval is a Planning Commission, then that shouldn't take. So that actually, once it goes to the Planning Commission, then I think we're okay. From Planning Commission late spring 2023. So going back to Smith Park, I'm sorry, not to digress, but the coastal development permit comes from our own Planning Commission. So I think what's keeping it in the, what the time factor is the actual design and environmental documents. That's what's taking us, because then it will go into the Planning Commission September, October 23 for consideration of the coastal development permit. So that same with Frenchman Creek Park. Late spring, we will also be going back to Planning Commission with the final construction plans based on your recommended concept design. So that is ongoing.
Yeah, I think, Lisa, just to clarify, we have to always end up with environmental impacts, the impact study.
Yeah.
But when I say we, the city of Half Moon Bay is able to issue coastal development permits. So, and unless it's appealed, then it would go to the Coastal Commission.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
Okay. So now I'm sharing my screen again. So these are the things we added before we started. The Pumpkin Festival 50th anniversary mural completed, and wow, that just got such a great reception, didn't it? I love that it's going to stay up there forever.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It really is. It was well rolled out.
Art donations, which include the Spirit Bell and the Ken Paul sculptures. The rain actually thwarted the progress at the library. The actual place where they're putting Ken Paul sculptures was laid out and designed. And it's actually very nice. It's a lot fancier than I actually put in my little simple drawing when I brought it to you. But still it's still at minimal cost. Our Public Works crew is very creative with, and so that was actually completed as well. Those 2 things, we just need placement. So the donation was completed. I think what's still ongoing is the actual placement of the donations. Where we know where Ken Paul is going, but the actual building of the Foundation is still going on. And then the Spirit Bell, I believe that's also something that is still being worked on with the community.
Yeah.
And then art policies, those are completed. Victor finished those before he left.
Yep.
So that is all the work. You guys must be tired. That is all the work that the Recreation Commission, I mean, I'm sure there's other things too, but these are the bigger projects that were done in 2022. I think we've highlighted a few things that could be moved into brainstorming, that could be added back in as priorities, along with some new things. So, and I'll ask this question before we get to the brainstorming. I'll ask this of the commission for consideration. But so I also wanted to mention there were a few things highlighted from the last time you all selected your priorities. And these were 3 things that were included that were identified as either future priorities or opportunities from 2020 in 2022. But I moved them, I titled them from 2022 because I wanted you to see them in case you want to add them to your priority list. New and more inclusive events, Johnson House MOU and planning. And I have to say that that is actually in the works already. The city manager's office has taken the lead on the Johnson House MOU. I'm sure that once it is ready or there is actual documentation ready to review, they'll bring it to the Recreation Commission. And then, of course, Eddie mentioned the Mid-Penn Housing Moon Ridge Fields Use Collaboration. So now we move on.
Do you
I'm-
feel
and I
that
moved-
can I just ask a quick question? So they'll bring the Johnson House proposal to us before it's voted on?
The MOU actually has been in work for like, I think a few years now. Eddie, do you have any background? So I believe they're almost at the final stages of the MOU signing. But if you'd like, I can propose a update at the 22nd meeting, if you'd like, from the city manager's office.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, we'd like to know
Absolutely.
what is that understanding that you're trying to have with the Johnston House Foundation, with the
Right.
people, with those members.
Okay.
And I think we looked through it at one point, didn't we?
Not the Johnston House, because the trouble we have with the Johnston House is that the foundation, those people are really into preserving the house. And the city, in the past anyway, we've been wanting to look at what can we do to elevate the whole scene at the Johnston House. It's not going to be with the current foundation members, because as I say, they're very narrow in their scope. They just want to be able to make sure that they've got funding, that they raise money to preserve the actual architectural integrity of that house and nothing else. So this is where it's a question mark, and that's why I'm not sure what the city has initiated, and I'd be interested in knowing.
Okay. I will put that on I will ask for an update at our next. Eddie, is that okay? Do you have a note of that? Or I'm sure Maggie's taking minutes. We'll ask for someone from city manager's office to come give an update on that.
Yeah, it would be Karen, and I did ask her for an update on the 20th. She let me know that John Ryan from the foundation, the Johnson House Foundation, had reached out during the storm, wanting to review their agreement they've been working on. It's a short-term agreement, and Karen's working on getting a coordinated meeting between the Johnson House Foundation, the city, and the Mid-Penn. So that's the update that I have gotten on the 20th. But yeah, we can have Karen come give a more detailed update.
Does the Johnston House and the Half Moon Bay Historical Society, is there any crossover with those two?
Not really.
No.
I don't think so either, which is weird because I read the Half Moon Bay Historical Society newsletters, and there is some unbelievable great stories and history in there. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like there's a way to cross over into that world with that actual house. But
Well,
maybe
that's
that's
the idea of maybe perhaps making it something more than just the house.
exactly. So there we go. So there we go. Yeah.
Okay. So are you all ready to go into brainstorming?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
fired up.
I think we have been, but yeah.
I know. Well, and actually, before I do that, do you guys need a break, a quick like 5-minute break? Okay, you don't. Okay.
No.
What I'm going to do though is I'm going to transfer some of this stuff over to my brainstorming sheet.
Okay.
And okay. Let me call this up. Oh. Okay. Get rid of the bullet points here. So I'm going to leave on this fast day again. I'm just so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So, first night, New Year's family friendly event. I caught that one. Oops. That'd be. And then I'm going to take that off here.
Recording in progress.
Oh. So that's ongoing. Carter Park's ongoing. But you know, I think we have a bigger thing. Oh, I think I want to catch what Paulette said early on, which was something you mentioned fundraising, and you said something about training or a consultant coming in.
Well, the idea is to have a master fundraising plan, a master donation plan for Carter Park. And so, you know, that's going to involve identifying areas in Carter Park that either benches that can have a plaque on it, sidewalks, the stage area, the steps. I mean, there's so many different things that other cities do to acknowledge the donations from different donors into a park situation like that. So that's the thing. We need first of all the master plan, and the master plan also to include different levels of funding and what you get for those, you know, those levels and all of that. I mean, it needs to be a comprehensive plan.
Okay, let's get so. This is ongoing. First, would you like, I'm just gonna leave all this here.
Would that also include like finding grants?
Potentially, I mean, a master donation fundraising, I mean, I think it would be a plan, I'm sorry, left out plan. It would. However, usually it would be, you'd enlist the help of staff to do the grant searches, because you'll need staff to be the ones to complete it. And if you find a grant and, you know, and I'm just saying worst case scenario, we don't have the staffing to pursue it, and or it's actually not a grant that's really kind of, it's a 70% match or something like that. Usually staff will be the ones that are trying to find it. And we actually already are working on grant possibilities. I think this is actually more of a community fundraising plan, and ways that you can get the community involved and make them feel like a part of, you know, have them own it.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
We, at Senior Co-Siders, they did that with the bricks, the fundraising bricks. So people actually bought fundraising bricks, and I'm on the board there, but we, and so people's names are all in the courtyard on these bricks.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, and they get recognition for it. We have a barbecue for them, and you know, it's an ownership thing.
Yes, very good. This is what I'm talking about. That's comprehensive, and that's what we're looking at. Very good.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So this is what I took from our discussion. Did I forget anything that we have already talked about? Adam, I did catch here, proposed meeting with developers of Hatchfield for Smithfield. So
Now, Lisa, Magnolia Park Master Planning ongoing. In that plan is the community garden, and it feels like that's like sort of gone off the radar. And meantime, there was funding, developed for that and put together for that. And yet, this is now what, 4 years later, I think, and nothing's happening. I don't know.
okay. High school courts. And Hillary, I left the beach sand volleyball courts. Should I reword that to say high school project?
I don't think I'd reword it to say that. I think that would be a separate item.
Permanent.
Like,
so, but we can talk
Just
about
put beach sand volleyball courts at the beach.
Yeah.
And then sand courts at the high school would be the
Oh,
second item.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
that makes sense. Okay, beach volleyball at the beach.
This was the volleyball courts down on the beach. Over near
By-
where the
By Kelly.
by Kelly, right?
Yeah.
And then we also talked about permanent, making them.
Yeah, like having the permanent permit. And then I just think like there are ongoing questions too of just, like as we do this project, what are ways to improve it? How do we keep the courts in the best condition? Like little things like that. We should just be evaluating that. And hopefully that's just going to happen between staff and the volleyball club that's helping the staff. But I feel like this is a new project and we should just keep an eye on how things are going.
Right.
Okay. All right. So what else do we want to do for brains? What other things do we want to add? And remember, we're going to put this into a document for you. So right now is your time to put what you want on the list.
Okay.
Are we a part of the conversations around bike paths?
I was just about to talk about that. Yes. Because it's on the list. It was on our list. We didn't mention it, that there was like a bike path or something coordination committee.
Yeah, with the VPAC. Yeah.
VPAC, yeah. We did add them to ongoing communication. Great.
Yeah, I just think that per RJ's point, we brought this up last year too, that someone needs to be keeping a closer eye on the bike path and the coastal trail in general. And especially now with like all of these deluges for our main form of rainfall, it's just going to become a bigger and bigger problem as parts of it are washing away. And we need to act before the path is broken, not after it's broken.
Right.
Okay. So bike path maintenance. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
I don't know. RJ, did you have other additional, like in addition to maintenance, just thoughts about what we should be focusing on with the trails?
Well, maintenance and any extension of the bike path. Now, some of the extension of the bike path goes beyond our city
Jurisdiction. Yeah.
jurisdiction. But it's certainly in conversation on how we can
part of the discussion.
extend that bike path.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the extension that was done outside of our jurisdiction is absolutely awesome. And I have already seen people on it, and I've ridden my own bike on it multiple times, and it literally goes right up to the school. I think, and I know that we have, as a city, have had plans of extending our bike path on that side all the way along and connecting possibly even now to that. So I love this discussion point because there's a lot of possibilities here. And I can't believe the amount of use that this other path is getting. I don't even know if it's officially open yet, but I see people on it. Again, I've been on it myself.
Well,
I definitely can believe the amount of use. I think we need to be doing more of this.
Yeah, I think this is an incredibly important discussion. I think that what obviously, as RJ mentioned, we have the different jurisdictions. It would be nice to be able to get county, state, and Half Moon Bay in and BPAC in with a discussion about, especially as it relates to the recent rains and what that did to our paths. And if there's a needed repair, which I know for sure there is, who's doing it? When's it going to be done? What can we expect? And then things that need to be done that maybe haven't been addressed, to be discussing that. We want a bike-friendly town. There's no question about that. And right now we don't have one. So,
and I think that the extension also heads out to Moonridge. That from Cameron's on, we sort of lose a bike path. There's a school right there, the Holy Family that it goes by. We stop when we get there. Moonridge kids have no bike path. So I think considering moving it out toward, the Ritz.
That's true.
If we use the Ritz or
isn't the East Bay, is the East Bay, the East Side Trail, isn't that going to go all the way down there?
There was talk about that at one point, and there was talk about even going almost through more like Johnston House area, like in that tract almost or something. But I'm not sure where we left off on it.
Right. I don't know what the decision is, but
but the bottom line is we need a major focus and discussion about our trails and biking, especially on the trails, and what's going on given the rains and the horrible stuff that we've had going on.
When's the last time that you all had like a general trail update, meaning like the trails that are involved in some of the Highway 1 projects, the trail that we were talking about creating, the one, Adam, I think you're referencing is the one that was going to go up beyond Johnson House that we were working with Post on. Have you guys had it? I mean, because we can arrange for someone to come give you a trail update.
Yeah. I think that would be really good, Lisa.
Yeah, that would be good. And I'm also wondering, what would be the Ritz's involvement, because I'm sure it would benefit them to have trail that goes all the way out there for their guests to ride to town and continue to build a relationship. So I would love an update.
I agree.
Okay.
Probably like a regular trail update would be good.
Oh, okay.
Or at least a quarterly or something like that, because it's really one of the most important things going on here in this area.
Well, and you get updates on parks. It's not that difficult to comprehend, including kind of the projects that involve trail improvements. So, okay. Oh, I'm not supposed to be giving you guys ideas. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So here's an idea. All right. What I feel that this is the year that we really should look at forming an art committee. So that we can start beautifying Half Moon Bay now that we have an art policy, a public art policy, is to get an art committee together so that they can identify the different, we can look at identifying the different areas in Half Moon Bay that can be beautified with, with artistic renditions and just get that whole art aspect going. Because that was one of the main ideas behind getting the public art policy, so that we can move forward in this direction.
Thank you so much. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, everybody keep going.
So here's the other question I have. I know that someone mentioned that we have access to a pool. I'm not sure what that meant, but what has been the conversation around the community pool?
There has been ongoing and very lengthy discussions about a community pool. Right now, the Friends of the Parks and Rec, or Friends of the Parks and Rec, it is one of their special committees. And I believe every so often they come and give an update on where they are with it. It's not really something that the city has engaged in yet, only because the initial plans don't include a lot of public access, and we can't, in all fairness and all, go into a project knowing that the actual public would not have access. So, but we're kind of staying in touch. We're kind of parallel along. We get constant updates from the committee. We get invited to their committee meetings. I'm sure you'll see a lot of those people at the listening sessions. It's not something that's going away. I think it's just developing a very sound plan, but I think right now it's really a big thing.
Yeah.
It's, so.
I think that the reason that was on there the way it was, to like have a group that's looking at what's happening with the pool, is basically to try to play that intermediary role of understanding what Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Rec are doing with the pool. There's like a very aggressive push right now to work with the high school on that pool, and just stay looped in to see ways that the city can be involved, but not really do more until it's clear that there's a community access advantage.
Exactly.
I mean,
I think finger on it. But until there's a true plan for community access, we can't.
Yeah. Put a lot of energy into this, and that's the thing. I agree.
Have a location?
Yeah. So what the Friends has decided to focus on is a high school pool with they're trying to make sure that community access is a component. But yeah, that's the main thing, is just they need to finish their meetings with the school, figure out how that community access is going to happen. And the goal at a minimum would be that with a larger pool, more members of the community will be able to use the pool within the same hours that they currently can use them. And I think that they just are not at a phase where they can hammer out the details. So it is true that it's hard for the city to have a role until more is known around that.
And
what they work out with the high school.
I can jump into here for a second. And RJ, just towards your question, it's the city's position that that idea, that concept that the Friends have of investing all this money into the high school's pool, that location isn't a sustainable, like a viable location for something that the city would put a lot of funding behind. Again, like Lisa mentioned, the access that the public would have, and just the issues that come along with having public on school grounds. It's a different conversation than the one that I brought up earlier, where, we of course want to have recreation aquatics programming, and that would be the location that we would host that. But for like long-term investing, and this comes from Matthew, that's just not a viable location, that property up there at the high school. So if that answers anything.
It's not worth.
RJ, yeah, please.
It's not worth. So that's not worth for our researching potential public access pool then.
I would say yes. Oh, sorry, Eddie. I would just say not yet. I think it's too big of a concept for this commission to necessarily take on. However, I can actually, I know there's additional people now getting involved with that specific committee on the pool. So, I don't know. I think that if you took that on as not you personally, but if the commission took that on as though, it would be a parallel effort. And I think they've already started the work, and they already have a committee designed to work towards this. they are not giving up on getting the city involved, RJ. So I don't think we'll be left behind. I think they will continuously bring us updates to the point where hopefully there'll be a time where we can say, oh, we're all in. You know, it is a multi-million dollar project as well. So we have to be ensured that whatever is being looked at is in the best interest of the community.
Okay, thanks.
So some of the things on that I'd like to throw out there are, and I'm not sure if they're up there already. So please let me apologize if they are. But obviously, access to facilities for the public.
Okay, I thought I had that up there. Where?
I know you mentioned it, and I couldn't quite find it, so I was just like, I'm gonna just
No, it's not on there. I have it on my written notes. So when
so just two things really quickly before you write that down. Can we just rewrite down also the pool, like a pool, some type of committee or people who want, like as a brainstorm thing, people from this commission being involved in a pool committee type thing.
Do you want to do like a pool subcommittee question mark kind of thing?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then
facilities.
Access to public.
And do you mean like school facilities, Adam, or are there city facilities?
I guess I technically mean school facilities, really, in the scheme of things. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No, it broke my heart when the kids couldn't get into the soccer fields.
I'm so mad about that.
Yeah, for the entire, and they were locked, and it was just like, well, and the one hand, I guess that makes sense because there probably needs to be oversight or whatever. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, that's what they need to do. Like,
I thought though that those fields were supposed to be community accessible fields. I'm actually really confused about the whole addition of the locked fences.
The gate and the lock. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a recent addition that
it is.
Are you
not
school property? The
property.
The soccer field behind the Boys and Girls Club.
At Cunha.
At Cunha, yeah, the middle school, middle school.
When that was developed, it was supposed to be a community facility that was accessible to all Half Moon Bay children.
I'm not sure.
I'm confused by that statement because usually school facilities are not necessarily always allowed. I mean, it has to be a collaboration between usually in my history.
Right. Usually.
Yeah.
And the school. And
either way, we can talk about, we can throw it up there. We don't have to figure it out right now, but we can work towards getting access to those facilities, really. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Fred, Lisa, go ahead.
No. I was just saying that it's unusual. So, so I'm just going to write, how do we allow access to school facilities? Where, again, some of these might not be under a priority umbrella, but might be special projects that we work on as a commission, because it's still kind of priority umbrella, but it's not necessarily it's hard for me to explain this. But anyway, I did put, how do we allow access to school facilities? And that will be I listed that as a priority.
Okay. And then another priority.
Public. How do we allow public access? There we go.
Yep. So, and that obviously school facilities is good because it includes the tennis courts, which are never used at the middle school, and the pickleball courts, which are never used. They're these gorgeous courts. Nobody ever uses them. Nobody has access to them. Doesn't make any sense to me that we have a city like that. The next piece is programming for all children's out of school time, whether that be drop-in stuff, whether that be organized, whether it be camps, whatever it is. But like, we have a winter break coming up. We have a ski break coming up. We have, there's weeks that kids are out of school. And then there's also time periods where they're out of school for like the winter break, where they're out of school for like 2 to 3 weeks. And I would love to figure out what we need to do to fill those gaps. Again, that doesn't have to be solely on us if we can collaborate with the Boys and Girls Club. But obviously, from my understanding, neither us nor the Boys and Girls Club had activities most recently. I did see, and this is why it'd be great to collaborate with the Boys and Girls Club, that they do have an activity coming up for this next upcoming week break that the children are about to go on, which is good.
Okay. Okay. Let me get rid of this so you guys can see the list.
So,
Yes, RJ.
RJ, hit it.
so the one thing I'd like to take a look at, I don't know if it falls under priority. We rent out facilities. So the house below the Johnson House is a rental. You can rent out space in the community center, but the contract requires this major insurance rider. And I'm wondering if there's a way that we build in a cost for insurance. It felt very prohibitive when I was looking at it. And even the insurance that we have as a business, it met it, but I had to then go to the insurance company. It was like jumping through a lot of hoops. And I'm wondering if there's a way that we also provide an insurance rider that they pay for in addition to renting the facility to make it less cumbersome and more attractive to, I'm sure, I don't know if it's a revenue generator, but I also think we're missing opportunities for the community to utilize our facilities.
RJ, were you speaking to the event center, the Boys and Girls Club, or our facilities?
Your facility, yeah, I was talking to, our facilities.
So we do create and we require, like everyone does, require renters insurance for folks that do rent the facilities. But we can create those policies here in our department, and the majority of the time we do, because it is cumbersome for someone to go reach out to their personal life insurance provider to create policies. So we do currently do that. It's about 10-minute process, cost average about $80 a rental. So was there something beyond that though, RJ, you were thinking about?
No, I just didn't see that as an option. So either I didn't ask enough questions but when I was filling out the form, it didn't feel like I had an option. And so I was trying to run around to figure out how to jump through the hoops for insurance. But if we have
And
Recording in
Yes,
progress.
very
about what
important.
we can accomplish in a given year and, and focus our energies on that instead of trying to do too much and not getting anywhere. That's the most frustrating.
Agreed.
Yes.
No, but I like throwing the spaghetti out first on the wall, and then we'll see what
That's
sticks, and then we go from there. Yeah.
Right. And what we can check off easy.
Yeah.
So any more thoughts, any more activities, anything we should add to this list as priority?
Now, Bubby, I'm surprised because usually you're the type of person that throws a lot of stuff out there. I haven't heard many suggestions from you on this.
What are you talking about? I've got the big art committee. That's a big one.
That's big. It's true.
Art committee and the master donation fundraising plan. That's
Right. Those
Okay.
are two big.
All right, we hit it all. It's too bad Luis isn't on.
I know.
Can we? I'm going to reach out to him again after this.
I mean, if there's one thing I would add is for at least for us to start the conversation, if nothing else, on, now I'm going back to sort of Joaquin's thing a little bit, not in the way he's approaching it, but I do believe that we need to look at the different big events that happen. For instance, Black History Month. What do we do as a town for that? The Mexican independence thing. What are we doing as a town through the recreation department to, honor that, to observe that, to do something with that? So all these different.
Well, that's good.
The Chinese New Year. What did we do for that? I don't think actually the library had an event, but these are people that are in our community. And I'm looking at, what do we do to celebrate their cultural, backgrounds? So this is something that I think that we need to, be more focused on, a little more focused rather than kind of haphazard.
Preach on, Paulette. Preach on.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to know a town that did something and what they did. I mean, it'd be interesting.
Well,
Yeah. I don't think it's that easy to do, but it's a great idea.
And, we can start small and manageable.
Yeah, just with one
Right.
even. Yeah,
Right.
figure it out. Yeah.
And I said, I meant you can start small.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is to start the conversation and look at what it is that we want to actually try to have happen in the town to acknowledge these different backgrounds and ethnicities.
Well, and it might be worth, Paulette, having Joaquin come to this meeting, because I think this isn't far off. Eddie, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I don't think this is far off than what the conversation is entailing. Like having a way to share these events or cultural significance dates in the Ted Adcock Center, like having a place where we would have, have the, like you said, Mexican Independence, which is in September, having a display, right. Or Chinese New Year, having a display and having something around that significant date, sponsored by the city. I think you're thinking along the same lines. I think there's some.
Good.
The conversation is a good one.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't go too far into kind of the concept that we've been brainstorming, Matthew and John and Joaquin and myself, but Paulette, it's almost identical to what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
Without Lisa, can I pull up a quick little screen share real fast?
Oh, sure. There you go. Oh, sorry, it's freezing in my room.
So Paulette, just as an idea, just to give you an idea, can you guys see this on my screen?
Make it bigger.
We can see it, but
Okay. Sorry. So the idea, Paulette, was how to be deliberate about that idea and really focus on arts and culture. And so it started off with that, the exact same thing you said, that the county basically proclaimed every month, for example, LGBTQ month.
Right.
Month. There's a group represented for most months. So our idea was kind of to play on to play on the Make It Main Street concept, that we would one night out of the year, and probably the same evening that the Make It Main Street happens, that the group represented that month that the council identifies as this being their month, we give them
I like that.
the staffing, the equipment, a stipend, all the supplies they would need to put on a presentation, a performance, some way to be able to be represented, right? And that would happen once a month. We also came up with some ideas here in the community center where we could kind of transform these unused portions like this wall bench and bulletin board into an area where these groups that are identified each month can display their items of, historical significance or symbolic significance.
Very good.
Provide them some promotion so that the community is aware that this event happens each month. And our idea is hopefully that each month we'll have that fourth Thursday evening of the month where we can count on people from Make It Main Street coming here and being able to participate and see these groups, present to them or have a celebration or something like that. So just real quick, that's almost exactly what we had been talking about, Paula.
All right. Well, there you go. It's good. It looks good.
Great. All right. Anything else come to mind? Should we start wrapping this up? Oh, we still have a couple more items on the agenda. I see that.
We're having a great time. With Lisa, why are you rushing us over here?
Somebody pop out the champagne. Let's go.
Exactly, RJ.
RJ, I just heard that, so when we're in person. Yes, no rush, but yes, it is 8 o'clock.
No, I'm joking. No, all good.
Okay, so I know you still have a couple other items on the agenda to go through. So what we will plan to do with this is I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to move everybody over to my main screen here. We will take this, Eddie and we will draft a document. We will send it out prior to the meeting so that everybody has a chance to review, get their comments together, and then we will put it on the agenda for the next meeting. So yay. Thank you all. I actually really enjoyed this process tonight. You're a very interesting group.
It's a lively group, Lisa, this one.
She said interesting.
Well said.
You actually are very lively, and I am not at all even dozing off, which sometimes I have to admit.
There you go.
Give us another chance.
Paulette, if I could, I did make you a commitment to get that subcommittee meeting set up here within the next day. Hypothetically, Luis is obviously very busy.
We have to figure out the Luis portion here because we can't have another year of him missing almost every meeting. I was going to make a motion, frankly, for him to be vice chair because he's been, but he can't be anything if he's not here. So it's
the intents and purposes of the subcommittee, and that's a bigger conversation.
Right.
Subcommittee, are you, the commission, interested in possibly assigning an alternate candidate to Luis, to his position on that subcommittee, so that we can continue, meeting and discussing things?
Is that something we can discuss right now?
I don't know.
It's not on the agenda, so I would think Catherine would tell us that because it's not on the agenda, we can't.
Yeah, that's what I would think too. Let's throw that on the agenda for our next meeting then, and just we'll find out then, because he's either here and we can have that discussion with him, or he's not and we can take action.
Right. In the meantime, though, Eddie, you can go ahead and schedule.
Have to gauge his availability, and we'll go from there.
Right.
Okay.
And Eddie, I'd like to be a part of that meeting as well. It's a good learning process for me. So
Definitely.
Great. I love having my Lisa.
Well, thank you, Paulette.
I do. That's great.
All right. Well, I will turn it back to the chair. Thank you all for letting me lead you tonight.
Great.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Lisa, you were awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We want you back next year. You're our person for this. This is good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, do we have any report outs from any commissioners?
None for me.
No, other than just, was mentioned a little bit at the beginning, but I did attend that Friday night at McDutra Plaza. And I thought that the city did a good job, whatever involvement you had in helping to put that together. I thought that it was very well done. It was really an important coming together of the community to grieve the situation that we found ourselves in. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
all right.
All right, on to the next thing.
Okay, any commissioner comments?
I just have a very small comment that I was approached by one of the beach volleyball clubs in the Northern California about Half Moon Bay's beach volleyball courts and their availability to be used for tournaments. And I just thought that that was interesting and an indication that working on these courts could be something that brings some interesting opportunities to the community.
Definitely.
Were you a volleyball player, Hillary?
Only a little bit, but I have a lot of volleyball players in my life now. I mean, I love to play just for fun, though.
She can represent.
Excellent. I love it. I don't know if I can jump anymore, but I'll join you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Jump. Put your arm up there.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Are we ready to adjourn the meeting, Chair Eisen?
I mean, I figure let's just keep going. No, it's a pleasure. Good work tonight. That's a lot of ground being covered. I think I'm just so impressed with Letha jumping in and kind of leading us coming out of the blue. And great job. I'm sure Eddie making sure that she was prepared, and Maggie, thank you. Maggie, I have to say, it's the first time I pressed the button and I got right into the meeting. I was ready to get all annoyed and the whole thing. Nothing. You gave me no ability to do so. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great night.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.